The promise was spoken lightly in a sunlit boardroom, tossed like a joke that everyone laughed at except the man mopping the marble floor. "If you play Chopin, I'll marry you," was meant to silence an awkward pause, meant to remind everyone who held power and who did not. The janitor's cart squeaked as he froze, his reflection trembling in the glass walls of the tallest building in the city, and in that moment something old and wounded stirred awake inside him. Before the laughter faded, a quiet destiny had already chosen its path. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and hidden grace, take a moment now to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel Life Spark Stories, because stories like this live on only when hearts keep them alive. The janitor's name was Armin Vale, a man in his early 40s with careful hands and tired eyes, who arrived every morning while the city still stretched and yawned. Daytime belonged to people like the CEO, Sarah Caldwell, a woman known for her sharp suits, sharper mind, and a life polished to perfection. Armin moved through the same halls unseen, wiping fingerprints from glass, carrying the weight of a past that once gleamed brighter than this building. Years ago, daylight had also belonged to him, when concert halls opened their doors and sunlight spilled across ivory keys. But life had broken unevenly, and a family illness, crushing debt, and a single mistake had dragged him away from music and into anonymity. That morning the building hummed with a celebration. Investors toured the offices, and Sarah, confident and composed, led them through with practiced charm. The joke about Chopin had followed a boast about culture and refinement, a careless moment that turned into laughter. Armin felt the sting not because of pride, but because Chopin had once been the only language that understood his grief. He finished his work and left quietly, the daylight outside too bright, memories pressing harder than the sun. Days passed and something shifted. A grand charity luncheon was announced, meant to soften the company's image and impress the city. A polished piano was wheeled into the atrium, sunlight pouring through the skylight, illuminating dust motes like drifting stars. The hired pianist never arrived. Panic spread among the staff as guests filled the room, their expectations rising with the light. Armin stood nearby, holding his broom, feeling the old ache return, the one that never truly left. Without asking permission, he approached the piano. His uniform looked out of place among tailored suits, but his hands moved with certainty. When the first notes of Chopin filled the atrium, the noise dissolved. The music carried sorrow and hope together, rising through the daylight, touching corners of the room no speech ever could. Armin played as if the years had folded back on themselves, as if loss had shaped his sound into something deeper and truer. Sarah turned, frozen. The joke she had made echoed painfully in her mind as she watched the janitor, the man she had never truly seen. The room stood still, investors silent, phones lowered, hearts unexpectedly open. When the final note faded, daylight seemed softer, kinder. Applause erupted, but Armin had already stood, stepping back into the shadows he knew so well. The aftermath was quieter but heavier. Sarah learned his story not through pity but through listening. She understood how easily power blinds and how words can wound without intention. Armin, offered a chance to return to music, hesitated, unsure if the world still wanted him. Day after day, they crossed paths, not as CEO and janitor, but as two people humbled by truth. The promise made in jest transformed into something else entirely, not a marriage of words, but a union of respect, restoration, and dignity. Armin accepted a role mentoring young musicians through the company's foundation, his days once again filled with sunlight and sound. Sarah changed too, leading with quieter strength, knowing leadership was not about being heard but about seeing. The building remained the same, but its soul had shifted, warmed by a single act of courage and a melody reclaimed. If this story touched your heart, please engage with the video, because your support helps these moments of humanity reach someone who needs them today. Before the ending, we have one special request. Comment the word hope if you believe hidden talents deserve to be seen.